Mr. Chima Nnaji, a legal practitioner, joins us next. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you and good morning.
We've heard from the presidency to Senate that Magu remains EFCC chair. Does that have any basis in law?
First and foremost, we need to ascertain whether it actually was what the acting president said. If I am correct, it was El-Rufai that reported. And there have been a lot of statements in the public space, credited to one government official or so.
Yeah.
It is better to hear directly from the horse's mouth, as it were, so that there will be no unreasonable media denials thereafter. If indeed that statement was rightly attributed to the acting president, I think that is rather unfortunate.
Why?
You cannot say Magu or nobody else, because it is completely an affront to the generality of Nigerians who believe there are so many good people in this country, without prejudice to whatever qualities they might have seen in Magu. Magu is just one other individual. You understand? It's not indispensable. And the system does not conduce to indispensability either. There are so many competent people, even in that EFCC, if we were going to be talking about getting people from within. But the law setting up EFCC has made it that you can widen the dragnet so long as the person is not below the rank of Assistant Commissioner of Police. And actually, to be very frank with you, that qualification needs to be upped in the light of the circumstance of the level of crime and criminality, the technology of cyber crime and all that, and the knowledge base required of the leadership of an institution that must grapple with the challenges of these problems. Let me give you an example. There are many retired police commissioners with law degrees who are now in full-fledged practice. Some of them are in commercial law practice, some of them are in criminal law, and so on and so forth, who could be drafted to do a better job. And it is not by, jactitation. It's not by dramatizing that you are effective.
So what if they say, or argue
that rule of law?
Yeah. Well, what if they argue? That's where I'm going. If they say it's not about the indispensability of the person of the EFCC chairman, Mr. Magu, that it's about the legal requirements. If the executive, as is being reported, say, look, we rely now on Section 171, where they say, no, we do not have to send this name, even though, yes, we made a mistake sending it earlier. If they say we don't have to send this name because it's one of those who 171 says, yes, as long as the president appoints him, he remains so until he leaves office.
I will address that legal issue, but let me make a general statement. If you have a right to a plate of food for lunch, that is your right. But you can dispense with that right once it is a personal right for somebody who is much more hungrier than yourself to take that meal. Was there anything wrong, even if that is the case? But I said I will address the legal angle. My own opinion, I will provide. There was nothing wrong, even if the government rightly discovered that it made a mistake in the first instance. In the interest of peace and concord and harmonious working of the two important organs of government or branches of government, to say, okay, we go ahead with the way it has been done, but we propose in this claim that there is constitutional amendment, move to make an amendment and so on. Present an executive position that will be incorporated either to enhance the position of the executive, or maybe the legislature will say, we don't want this again because we have seen that there is a gap what the lawyers would call a constitutional lacuna or something like that, or confusion. Let us insert a clear-cut clause that will state there must be confirmation. And what we mean by confirmation is that if after presentation we reject once or twice, that person is done with that job. If clearly state that, then we save ourselves these problems. So that would have saved the entire problem now, if it is not contrived for a greater malicious outing. Now, to address the law, the section that everybody is harping on, 1712D, what does it say? Let me read it. Section 1712D of the Constitution of the Federal Republic 1999 as amended states the power to appoint persons to hold or act in the office to which this section applies and to remove persons so appointed from any such office shall vest in the President. The offices to which this section applies are namely D, among other ones, D, permanent secretary in any ministry or head of any extra-ministerial department of the government of the Federation, howsoever designated. Permanent secretary in any ministry. Or, this or is the one that is being hinged to cover EFCC and so on. Head of any extra-ministerial department of the government of the Federation, howsoever designated. Now, it also goes down, even in D, it mentions ambassador, high commissioner, or order. And then still comes to D, 1714, to say that an appointment to the office of ambassador, thereby specifying that even ambassadors and so on have to go for confirmation. There is nothing saying that if the president, even by mistake, took anybody's name from that D, okay, to the Senate, that he will be impeached. I don't know whether you get the point. But the modification now comes because there's a specific statute called the EFCC Act, 2004, that specifically stated in section 2.3 that the chairman and other members who are not ex-officio members should be subjected to the confirmation of the Senate. Clear statement. So if God created every human being to have leg and hand and face and eyes, he did not say he must come from Ogun State or come from Enugu State. It's a local arrangement, okay, to put order in organization of man under the sun. I don't know whether you're getting my point. So if the Constitution provides an umbrella that ordinarily you don't bother going to, it didn't even say clearly that if you do this, you have committed an infraction of the Constitution. But in the wisdom of those who made the law on the EFCC, see the enormous powers vested in the chairman and members, particularly the chairman of this body. And the possibility that if you allow the president or head of state to have exclusive powers of appointment or decision about who is appointed to that position, it could be subject to abuse. We saw this in India before they were able to remove that power from the prime minister. Human beings may have good intentions. You may be close to a neighbor, somebody passing, neighbor, how are you? But if you pass through the neighbor and see dollars and dollars on the table and nobody is around, if you are criminally minded, sometimes you could even be instigated by your poverty. You say, neighbor, your name neighbor, you are saying that to see whether you can take the money. If there's nobody shouting, neighbor is around, you take the money and begin to say, neighbor, well done. No, you go away. You have stolen that money.
So that's your recommendation.
It is human nature.
That's your recommendation. Now, we have to change it.
Sorry?
What's your recommendation?
My position is that the confirmation that was rejected was not attributed to the senatorial decision. It's not decision of the Senate. They hinged it on reports. You understand? Whatever motive may have been behind the acceptance of that report is immaterial. But as long as we are insisting that DSS is a very important institution, that we must take respect of whatever they have, and of course it's part of the executive. The executive should have been able to harmonize their position and call the Senate leadership. This report was in error, or whatever, take them into confidence. But trying to show bravado will not take us anywhere.